Yeah, so today I'll be talking about our work, which was published at AI Stats last year on scalable spectral representations for multi-agent reinforcement learning and network MDPs. This is a joint work with my advisor, Lina, from whose lab I graduated last year. My colleague, Ren Cathy, who's currently at MIT as a postdoc, and Bo from Georgia Tech and Google Brain. So let's continue. So today's talk will focus on network systems with local, so this typo here should be local interactions. So as an example, um, in the thermodynamics problem in a building, the temperature of a room in any time point is primarily dependent on the temperature of adjacent rooms. And similarly, for traffic networks, let's say the congestion of a road depends primarily within any short time frame on the congestion around nearby roads. So with that in mind, today we'll focus on controlling network dynamical systems with local interaction structures. So we'll focus on, we'll introduce the following problem setup. We have local states. So instead of having a joint global set of local states, each agent has its own state. They can take their own action, AI. And the states and actions here can be continuous, so they do not have to be finite. The dynamics of each agent I depends on that of the states of its neighbors. So it's kind of a local dynamics interaction. Its own action, subject to some noise. And the state reward is essentially the sum of or the average of the local rewards. So this is kind of a cooperative game, if you will. So there isn't kind of strategic competition in this particular setting. So the control policy here for each agent I could depend on the states of the entire network. And the objective is to find a joint policy that can maximize the total sum of rewards for the network. So our focus today will be on learning local policies, as opposed to learning a global policy where each agent's policy depends on the states of the entire network, because this is impractical for systems at very large scale. So we'll focus on learning policies where each agent I, in determining its own action, only takes into account the states of its neighbors or some truncated neighborhood of itself. So how do we find this kind of optimal local policies? The first challenge is scaling to the size of the network. When the network size is large, scalability is a key issue. And the second challenge is dealing with non-finite or continuous state action spaces. So this problem has actually been relatively well studied in the finite state action setting using this notion of exponential decay, which I'll introduce later. And our work kind of extends this idea to continuous state action network problems by proposing this idea of scalable representation approach. So in order to motivate this approach, we'll first kind of look at the single agent or centralized RL setting with continuous state action space problems. So the actor-critic framework is a very popular framework for this kind of problem. So here we have the actor, which tries to update its own policy using the value function or the Q function. And the critic is in charge of estimating this Q function, which is essentially the expected reward to go following a policy pi, starting with some state action pair SA. And typically, for the critic, it uses some kind of dim neural network to parameterize its Q function because typically the states and actions are both continuous space. The challenge then is how do we pick this deep neural network or DNN parameterization? In practice, people will probably just pick a generic kind of architecture, but it can be hard to tune such the correct neural network, and there's also no kind of rigorous theoretical guarantees on how to tune or pick the neural network. So an alternative is to use this idea of spectral representations to parameterize the critic Q function. So what is this spectral representation idea? So in order to introduce this idea, let us first take a look at the Bellman recursion. So the Bellman recursion takes the following form. So the Q function is basically the sum of the current reward as well as the expected reward to go. And the key idea here is that if the transition operator P of S prime given SA, where S prime here is the next state, if this operator can be factorized as an inner product between some feature maps Phi of SA and mu of S prime, then the Q function, using some algebraic manipulation, can actually be shown to be linear with respect to the features phi tilde comprising this phi coming from the factorization of the transition P, as well as the reward function R of SA. So in theory, it is known that such MDPs, which are also known as so-called linear MDPs, that for these linear MDPs, there exist sample-efficient reinforcement learning algorithms, at least in theory. And the question then is, how do we learn effectively features that can satisfy this decomposition of the transition map P? In practice, it's possible in both model-based setting where you have some idea of the dynamics and also model-free setting where you do not know the dynamics to learn or derive such features, finite dimensional features, phi of SA, that can kind of approximate this factorization. And based on this learned features, you can then build sample-efficient RL algorithms on top of that. So with that, we will return to the problem of the network reinforcement learning for learning optimal local policies. So a natural extension of the active predict framework to this network case is to have the actor being local actor. It tries to learn this local policy, and to do so, it will require the local critic function, which is basically defined as such. So it's basically like if you take the global Q function and you can write it as sum of the local Q functions. So the challenge here is to represent this local Q function. It actually depends on the global information. You need the states and actions of the entire network. As you might imagine, as the size of the network increases, the representational complexity of this scales exponentially with n, where n is the size of the network. So how do we get around this issue? So the key idea here is first this exponential decay idea, which basically says that the local Q function, although it, in theory, depends on the states and actions of the entire network, when you have this local interaction structure, then you can actually approximate it using by making the dependence not on the global state action space, but on some truncated state action space. And as you increase the size of this truncated neighborhood, the approximation error actually improves linearly. The problem then is how do we parameterize this truncated local Q function? So we know that in the finite state action space setting, you do not have to parameterize. You can just learn the vector. But when you are dealing with continuous state action space problems, it's important to pick a parameterization. So in order to resolve this, we propose the following so-called local feature representation. So first, using the spectral features approach, we can factorize the local transition of each agent using the spectral features Phi here. And via this exponential decay property, we can approximate the local Q function by the kappa hop truncated Q function. And in turn, this truncated Q function can be represented as a tensor, in terms of a tensor product of the local spectral features over this truncated kappa hop neighborhood. And you can show that the original local Q function, which we're trying to approximate, can be well approximated in terms of this truncated features. So with that, we propose the following paradigm or framework. So we have the local actor and the local critic, which is basically represented in terms of this local spectral features. And the goal here is to learn the weights Wi here using, let's say, temporal difference learning, and then feed that back to the local actor, which will update using policy gradient, using this truncated Q function. So how does this perform in practice? So we first illustrate the performance of our approach on a thermodynamics problem. So here we have multiple rooms in the building whose temperatures affect each other. The goal here is to drive the temperature of each room to a desired set point. And we assume for simplicity that the dynamics here are linear. So since this is a linear problem, we can actually compute the true optimal controller K star by solving the Riccati equation. And the plot on the left here shows kind of the magnitude of the entries of K star as a function of the of each entry of K star. So K star ij is kind of the ijth entry of this optimal controller K star, and the x-axis is kind of the distance between I and j. So as I and j increases, the optimal kind of the magnitude of the optimal entry of K star at the ijth position actually decays exponentially. So this suggests that it is reasonable to use a local policy, where each agent only takes into account maybe some small neighborhood of itself when making its decision. The plot on the right here depicts the performance of our algorithm as well as baselines, which are indicated as the dotted lines. So the dotted lines here represent the performance of the optimal controller truncated to a kappa wide band around the diagonal. So for example, the blue line here, the blue dotted lines corresponds to kappa equals to 0, which is basically each agent only takes into account its own state when making the decision. And as we can see, for each of these baselines, the dotted lines, the performance of our algorithm, which is indicated as the curved lines, can actually well approximate the baseline. So this kind of validates the performance of our algorithm, at least on this simple linear problem. We also tried to our algorithm on this nonlinear problem of Kuramoto synchronization. So this Kuramoto synchronization here, the goal is to kind of synchronize the frequencies of the different agents in the network. So the performance on the plot on the left here kind of demonstrates two algorithms. So the algorithm in orange is our proposed algorithm with the local spectral critic, and the algorithm in the blue line is kind of the performance of the algorithm with the standard deep neural network critic. And here the goal is to drive the reward up. So the higher the plot, the better. As you can see, our algorithm performs a lot better than the neural network critic. So a visualization of the performance might be more helpful here. So I'll first play this video on the left, which is kind of the synchronization of the algorithm of the deep neural network critic. As you can see, there's some synchronization, but there's kind of quite a bit of fluctuation. And here is the performance of our algorithm. So initially they're trying to synchronize, and after some oscillation, After a while, they're able to kind of synchronize relatively well. And here's kind of a plot demonstrating the same performance or same behavior. So that y-axis is the frequency. Each line here is kind of a different agent. X-axis is the time. As you can see, our proposed approach kind of synchronizes a lot better around the same frequency. So I'd like to add that recently, collaboration with some collaborators at Syracuse University, they've actually implemented our approach on some real-world buildings. And it's actually quite nice to see that our proposed method actually achieved a lot of savings on this 18-zone kind of multiple level building in Syracuse compared to the previous baseline controller that they were implementing. So with that, I'd like to wrap up my talk here. So in conclusion, we propose a new local spectral representation approach to represent the local Q function in network control. This is kind of effective for continuous state action space problems with theoretical error bounds, strong empirical performance even versus deep neural network critic. And this approach can flexibly combine with really any actor that you can think of, whether it's the actor in solve factor critic, the actor in PPO, or even a PID controller. So thank you for listening, and welcome any questions. Thank you.
We have time for 2 quick questions.
Yes.
So the examples kind of have what I would characterize as like relatively slow dynamics.
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to like the your robotic system, a little bit more dynamic function. Have you tried this approach on these kinds of systems? Do they work well on these kinds of like? Would they be like faster response?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. So the question is kind of like this: does this kind of approach work well on like faster dynamics problems where maybe there's faster interactions? I think we haven't actually tried it on those kind of systems. I suspect that because in that kind of systems, maybe the actions or the states of neighbors or of agents that are further away from you maybe propagates faster to you. So then maybe this approach will not work as well. And indeed, like most of the examples we've been looking at kind of slower dynamics, whereas like not so fast.
What if you don't know the dynamics of priority, or sorry, the like network connection to priority? So, are there ways existing to like try to discover this relationship between like maybe the connection, the insulation between the top and the bottom floor is really quite good, and so there's almost zero relationship between the thermal kind of performance in this room, the room above us and below us. Can we discover that?
So the question here is like, here we're assuming that we kind of know the structure of the network. Can we kind of discover the structure of the network, maybe using data? Yeah, that's again good question. I think in practice, our collaborators here with the Syracuse University, like when they were trying to build this network, they kind of use kind of their know-how, kind of like the understanding of the system to show that, to kind of guess that, okay, maybe this room is not, maybe the third floor room is not, it kind of like if 2 rooms are separated, like maybe level 1 here, level 2 here, maybe because it's kind of a vertical like gap, maybe there's not so much interaction, whereas if it's like next door in the same floor, maybe there's more interaction. So I think that'll be an interesting extension to see if you can actually learn the network structure as you go rather than assuming a fixed structure.